One moment in time. Okay, so I've been a tantra masseur for women. I did over 1,000 intimate massages with women, healing, erotic, anything. And then I stopped doing that, and I became a 3 years van lifer. And I've been doing non-stop van living now in France, Portugal, and Spain. And right now I'm in Spain near the Portuguese border, and I'm going out with a Brazilian woman here, who is 22 years younger than me, and we spend a lot of time together. It's really nice. We laugh a lot, we joke a lot, and so it's kind of nice. And and it's getting really hot here, so I don't know if I can stay the summer here because we're having temperatures of up to 40 degrees Celsius, and at night from anywhere from 23 to 30 degrees Celsius. 27. Tonight there's gonna be 27 degrees Celsius. So so it makes it a little bit tough because you don't sleep so well in that kind of heat. And I noticed that anytime I sleep, I get bad sleep. I age really quickly, especially I can see it in the face. I noticed in my 46 years of living on this earth that anytime I aged a lot, it was always connected to bad sleep. Always connected to bad sleep. I don't smoke. I don't take drugs. I eat very, very healthy most of the time, but since I'm going with Victoria, the Brazilian girl, I've been eating much more sugar, to be honest. Yesterday we just had ice cream. Today I had a sandwich which we bought yesterday, which also had a lot of like sugar in it and other things. So I'm not eating as healthy as I should, but I don't think the eating is such a problem, but it's the sleeping. But one thing that I'm definitely doing now, is I'm putting fitness and working out on my as like the first point of my what do you call it, priority list. I don't have any other things on my priority list, just working out. And I'm really, really, really enjoying my life. I have to say, I was like, there's few things that could make it better. I'm really enjoying my life. I think the only thing that would make it better, I'm not sure there's anything that could make it better. It's really good. Like my life is really good. And I used to. This is an interesting thing about spirituality and spiritual growth. Also, is I used to think that I need to have children, but the older I get and the more spiritual I become, the more I see that I'm also being, I'm escaping kind of like this extreme stress that you have with children. And I think survival instinct kicks in much more when you have children. I see people that have children very exhausted in general. I saw a mother yesterday doing shopping. She was being picked up by a friend or something, or a sister, and she looked so stressed. And I don't have that stress at all, like none of it. And I think most of the people that have children, I do think they have children because they are. I think they do have children because they are afraid of death. I think a lot of people have children because of they're afraid of death. And once you surpass the fear of death, then the need for children goes away. And it's a little bit also with pets. Like a lot of people have pets because they can't give or receive love, especially to themselves. So they need the external validation of the love. And I feel I also don't need that. Like I'm super fine the way everything is. And you know what I love the most is the liberty of buying yourself any kind of food that you like. So I can buy myself ice cream, I can buy myself caviar, or if I want to, I can get like whatever food I want to. The good thing is only want certain food. Go to your funeral, yeah. But the thing is, like, if you are truly like realistic about it, who cares about what happens at the funeral? It's like everything that you experience gives it only meaning to you as you experience it. But the moment the experience is gone, who cares about what happens? And especially if you realize that everything is so ephemeral, it's so temporary, it's so everything. There is no, there is no substance to anything in that regard. So everything is gonna be forgotten in 100 years. My neighbor who died many years ago, where I was living back then, he said to me, you know, in 50 years, nobody will think about us anyway. It's not sociopathic, and that's actually what you're saying is a toxic metaframe. I'm gonna ban you because I don't accept toxic frames, and that's a good lead in self-love. We can talk about self-love. So, I'm gonna hide this guy. So, toxic metaframing and self-love. So that comment was a toxic metaframe, and I'm gonna use that to go into self-love. So if somebody generalizes something like that's a bit sociopathic, um, it tries to push the other one down because that person is in their libido suppression. There's two words that I call. One is libido empowerment, libido suppression. It has to do a lot with the sacral chakra. Most people are in libido suppression. That's why they hate so much and project their unhappiness outwards to others. It happens in relationships, it happens in everything. It's actually, I should do an English master class on this on my YouTube channel because it just will totally blow your mind once you understand it. So, toxic metaframing is basically a direct intent to push someone else down based on a often based on a generalized comment, and it stems from a libido suppression that the person has in themselves. And but it's not a toxic metaframe. If it's an absolute truth. Like if somebody says, "Hey, you're bald," that's not a toxic metaframe. But it also depends how they say it. Like if somebody says, "Hey, come on, yeah, you suck because you're bald," then of course it's a toxic metaframe. So and you never will see people doing toxic metaframes that are inherently happy, that are truly following their libido empowerment, because they don't have the time nor the inclination to project unhappiness outwards because they're not really feeling bad. And that's great for you, Channel 4 fan. That sounds good. And self love, here comes something super interesting. Um, a lot of women told me you don't love yourself, and I was like, what does she mean? Like, what do you mean? I've always loved myself. And very much later, I this a lot, and then was like, what is actual self-love? And I realized self-love is nothing else but following your highest harmony. energetic harmony. So for example, if I'm like closing my eyes and I was like, what would do me good right now? And I feel like, oh, I want to get a massage. Okay, I want somebody to massage me. And then I get the massage. Then I was like, this is really pleasant for my energetic field. Then I was actually doing an act of self-love. If I do the opposite, I do something which destroys my energetic field, then I'm committing self-hate. And most people, without realizing, they're constantly committing self-hate. For example, you have a partner that criticizes you all the time, and so they're actually attacking your energy field. You're actually committing self-hate, staying with them. It's super interesting. And um, so once you learn to only watch for things that gives you higher harmony, you're actually coming into your highest field of resonance, because doing self-love is your most authentic self. So you're not fighting within yourself, because you are not losing energy on fighting on internal fighting about staying in a situation that you don't want to stay in. So for example, if say somebody speaks badly to me and I stick with the situation, let's say I'm with a narcissist in a relationship and I stick in the situation, I'm actually fighting with my own energies. So I have this one energy which wants to be self-loving and authentic, and on the other hand, I'm staying in the energy field with that person that is hurting me, then I'm actually not in my highest authentic self. And this is super interesting because most people are actually not in their strongest field of resonance and law of attraction, because they're always fighting against themselves by not loving themselves. So the highest act of manifestation and love that you can do to yourself is staying in your highest field of harmony. So, and that, once you start to do that, the contrast becomes bigger to people who, like, let's say you've been doing this for a few weeks, and then you realize more and more, like, the toxic, the contrast to people that are toxic in some form or fashion to your energy field. So let's say you've noticed only certain subset of behaviors as toxic, but once you commit to self-love and you're always self-loving and following your highest harmony, then of course anything that disrupts that energy field, you become hypersensitive to it. You become more aware of it, and then you can escape toxic behaviors much quicker. And that leads you to something else, that you make a conscious decision for your highest harmony, for your self-love, anytime you are aware of it. So you cannot accept toxic meta framing in any form or fashion if you're truly self-loving. I would go even so far, because a lot of women love drama, that you can't even be in a relationship if you're truly self-loving. If you're 100% loving yourself, you cannot be in a relationship with a woman, because to disturb your energy field. And if she disturbs your energy field, she's actually bad for you. So you're not in your self love. And if you stick with it, you're self hating. This is super interesting to think about this. And so when somebody toxic metaframes me, I have like an automatic decision process, kind of, where I'm like, no, I'm staying in my self love, in my highest harmony. I don't accept that attack. And the thing is, a lot of people do the absolute wrong thing. They start a relationship with that person, whether it's a small relationship or a big relationship. So they go into the conversation with that person. So the person insults you, for example, and says you're an idiot, or you are, a sociopath, and you react to it because you feel so emotional. So you feel like, hey, fuck you, you react like that, and then the person, especially if they're a narcissist, which most likely they are if they do toxic metaframing, because that's the main tool of the narcissist, they will pull you in, and they will and then they have you in the push-pull mechanism, and that's how codependency starts. This is super interesting, and once you understand that, then you can, in the first few minutes of getting to know someone, you can already get rid of them You already know if they're toxic or not. And 10% of people don't do toxic metaframing, and 90% of people do toxic metaframing. So you have to learn to get to just walk away from the 90% of the people. And most people cannot do that because they're either fearful of walking away, like that's kind of like the biological need of group coherence, because you're afraid you cannot survive if you don't deal with other people, and that's completely wrong. That's actually an extreme fallacy nowadays in the society. So you have 100 people, 90 people of those are going to be toxic. Just concentrate on the 10 that are not. And most people cannot do that because they believe deep down on a biological level they need group coherence with all of the 100 people in order to survive. It's just like a instinctive mechanism. And to break that mechanism is actually escaping the matrix of toxic behavior in society. And I'm giving you an absolute like masterclass gold nuggets of understanding society and yourself and trauma behavior, and nobody else in the world talks about it like this. I'm the only one worldwide who talks about it like this because I truly understand what's going on. Most people do not understand what's going on, so they're constantly being imprisoned by the emotional prison of their own reactive behaviors, not being conscious of what's truly going on. And most people manipulate more because people are becoming. Are we back? You are actually, once you're committing for highest harmony and self love, you are actually escaping that matrix and you are becoming very different from everyone else because everyone else is in that muddy, connected, toxic energy in society, and you're becoming your own authentic, true self, your strongest force, your strongest field of resonance, and it's really interesting to recognize that, and you start to become truly happy. This is the craziest thing. You start to become truly happy. You don't even have bad days anymore because you made the decision. And that's the thing, the decision is the key. The decision, I'm following my highest harmony, is the key. Is the key. The decision, I'm following my highest harmony, is the key. And yet now I'm going to totally blow your mind. Everything that you experience, everything that you experience, everything that you experience, especially also all of these kind of like spirituality or podcasts you listen to, self help, self coaching, what they're actually trying to convey, but nobody sees it. This is so fucking interesting. Like I think I'm in this regard I'm an absolute genius. It's all about self-love. It's all about following your highest harmony. But just other people cannot see it and so they cannot put it into words. So there's like, for example, how to improve your relationship, how to improve your workplace, how to earn more. But at the core of it, at the absolute core of it, it's all about self-love. And the inability for people to follow that decision tree for highest harmony is connected to the fear they have in their chakras, especially in their root chakra, the fear of death. And that's why vipassana or any kind of like spiritual awakening like Mooji, Eckhart Tolle and so forth, Ramana Maharshi, Sri Nisargadatta, as you escape through those realizations, you escape the fear of death slowly, slowly. It's like doesn't happen all at once. But some people does, but then you are freed from the emotional prism of not being able to make that decision for your highest harmony, your self love. Once you understand that, once you realize that, it completely changes your entire life. And a lot of people feel pressured to do things from through the capitalistic markets that they don't really want to do. So, for example, let's take someone like Joe Rogan, right? Joe Rogan has to do a podcast today because he has a, you know, something scheduled, for example. And he comes into traffic. I'm just taking it as an example. He comes into traffic and he's coming late to the office. So he gets agitated and he's like, "Oh man, it's an important guest. I really wanted to do this." And then he's like even feeling, "I don't really want to do this today." It feels like almost like off. I don't want to do this today. But he feels obligated to do it anyway because of consistency, because of whatever expectations, and so forth. True self love is closing your eyes, feeling into what would give you the highest harmony in this moment. And if it is, for example, to park your car, to get out of traffic, to park your car, let's say in the ocean, take a walk, go for a drink, or whatever it is, doesn't matter. You've acted in your highest and you're of resonance, in your strongest field of resonance, it has the most amplitude, then you change your life. It's kind of decisions. Although on the outside it seems like you needed to do the original thing, like the thing that was planned. And a lot of people cannot do this or don't take power of self-love. And that's that realization for me was the most important realization. And once you understand that you only have a limited set of time on this earth, in this universe, and that you're wasting your time by committing acts of self hate without realizing it, you're actually, you can never be happy. You will never be happy because you've been constantly compromising with your highest harmony, with your self love. And that's the most important realization you will ever make, apart from, spiritual awakening, is that self-love is following your highest harmony. Following your highest harmony is a decision you make for yourself. And a lot of women, for example, are conditioned to think of the community first before they think of themselves first. This is super interesting because I'd be like, no, if I communicate to a woman, I'll be like, no, I follow my highest harmony. And she's like, yeah, but you have to think of the others. The thing is that as long as you think of the others, you cannot create a life that is truly aligned with yourself. So you're constantly interrupting your manifestation potential. You're constantly interrupting your manifestation potential by accommodating to others people's energy fields. And everybody has a unique soul plan, and if you connect with other people's soul plans that are not aligned with your soul plans, for example, the same thing as if you accommodate to parents, but in your deeper self, in your soul, you feel you have to do something else. And of course there's also then a lot of blame shifting, a lot of blaming, a lot of, you have to feel guilt instilling kind of behaviors, for example, from parents to children and so forth, or from whoever. Oh, you're leaving us, blah blah. And that's the thing, like Because you're alive, you're not obligated to do anything that someone else wants from you. Um, and you can do that by loving yourself. And again, I have to repeat this because I know a lot of people don't understand it as much as I didn't understand it when I was completely new to this. Self-love is the ability to follow your highest harmony for your energy field. That means if somebody's standing next to me and is making me sad, if I dislike the energy field of that person and I stay next to it, I'm actually committing self-hate. Only if I get up and walk away to the place where I feel more harmonious, I'm committing self love. You cannot control everything that happens in life, but you can control your own love. Highest harmony or lowest harmony, disruptive energy fields or harmonious energy fields. You decide completely which one you want. And for example, if somebody calls me and I feel that energy field is not doing me any good, then I have the option of telling them, you can even tell them a lie, it doesn't matter. You can just tell them, I don't want to talk to you, or you can say, I have something else to do, or I need to leave right now. Most people do not have the capacity. They stay with the phone call because they are afraid to hurt the other person's feelings, and so they commit of an act of self-hate. It's unbelievable how simple but still mind, like it's literally like life altering realization. Yeah, so gonna talk about this a lot more definitely and some of the other things, um and you will see as an example also in my videos that I basically, if people comment and stuff, I never accept toxic metaframes. I immediately shadow ban the person or hide them, especially if they don't know me at all, or it doesn't matter actually. So if it's a clear toxic metaframe, I just don't accept it. And the thing is, there are people, like I said, that don't do this at all, and those are the ones you want to have close to you. Those are really the best people in the world. It's about 5 to 10%, I'd say, who don't do this. And I feel, like I said, I think it's getting more and more because of people who do toxic metaphoria, because more and more people are unhappy because they don't realize the power that they have in that regard. And then it's also connected to a lot of taboos because on one hand you have joy and on the other hand you have sexuality. For example, if you go into the city and you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna have an ice cream," you basically make yourself super happy by having an ice cream. And if uh, so that's one form of happiness, like if you were a child. And then there is also sexuality, and a lot of people suppress their sexuality in some form of fashion, and then they blame other people for their misery. So, for example, you feel like, I'm just gonna give you a raw example. It's a hard example, I know, but just give you a raw example. You're in a relationship with someone you don't find attractive anymore, and then you're like, hey, I really want to sleep with this man or woman, like someone else. If if you do not allow yourself to be with the other person because of a moral idea, to be faithful to your original partner, what happens is if that desire is strong enough, you'll start to for unconscious people, you start to blame your partner for your misery. So you start to criticize them in a lot of ways. It's people don't realize like how subtle and how it enters your life. This libido suppression, it's absolutely horrible. So you start to criticize your partner, you start to put them down, you start to make fun of them, but in reality, it's because you're blaming them you actually unconsciously are blaming them for your inability to get libido impairment. But we will talk about this another time.